students. Sorry, traffic was something else. Bobby.
What?
Front.
Fine.
Today's topic is SOAPSTone.
I love SOAPSTone.
To start things off, does anyone know what rhetoric is?
Frederick's not here today.
No. Rhetoric. You, Lisa?
Teacher, I believe the definition of rhetoric is the art of persuasive speaking or writing.
Right you are. And a good example for rhetoric is a politician, because they use ethos, pathos, and logos, which give them more credibility and logic and appeal to themselves. Next is the rhetorical triangle. Which shows the relationship between author, subject, and audience. The author relays the subject by appealing to his audience the best way he can. Without these three elements, you can't use your rhetoric well. Next is author's purpose. Bobby, do you know what author's purpose is?
What?
Author's purpose.
I don't know.
Lisa, do you know what author's purpose is?
Yes, it's the reason why the author decided to write about the piece.
Yeah. You remember the book we read, The Great Gatsby, right? Well,
Yes, teacher.
Lisa, I know you will. And a good example of author's purpose in The Great Gatsby is how the author wrote the book in order to question the legitimacy of the American dream. Alright, students, now we can finally incorporate SOAPSTone into all of this.
Thank you.
Bobby, would you please read the first paragraph? The paragraph?
While confined here in the Birmingham...
Never mind, Bobby. Lisa, will you read it?
Yes. This is the opening paragraph from The Letter from Birmingham Jail by Martin Luther King Jr. My dear fellow clergymen, while confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement calling my present activities as unwise and untimely. Seldom do I pause to answer criticism of my work and ideas. If I sought to answer all the criticisms that crossed my desk, my secretaries would have little time for anything other than such correspondence in the course of the day, and I would have no time for constructive work. But since I feel that you are men of genuine good and will, that your criticisms are sincerely set forth, I want to try to answer your statement in what I hope will be patient and reasonable terms.
Okay, students, now to actually SOAPSTone it. The definition of SOAPSTone is a piece that incorporates the speaker, which is the author, occasion, the time and place, audience, intended readers and or listeners, purpose, reason to write, and subject, the general topic. The speaker of this paragraph we just read was Martin Luther King Jr. The occasion he wrote was responding to a letter while he was in jail. The audience is the clergyman who wrote him and the general public. The purpose of this the purpose of this opening paragraph is to build his ethos for his audience and introduce his letter. Subject is the criticism the other man had, and the tone is amicable and formal, very justified. Here's an example of a SOAPSTone for that paragraph. Civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr., in the opening paragraph of his letter from Birmingham jail, introduces that he is responding to his fellow clergymen's criticisms. King's purpose of this paragraph is to build up his ethos in his audience and improve his argument. He adopts a justified and amicable tone in order to relate to his audience and introduce his arguments in a logical way. Next in dealing with SOAPSTone is Thesis.
I do. It's a one-sentence statement introduced at the beginning to be reasoned with.
Can you provide an example, Bobby?
I don't know.
You, Lisa?
Yes, an example can be public education benefits society because it educates kids, creates jobs, and develops communication skills.
Very good. Another example of a thesis is one coming from the Martin Luther King introduction speech we all read. And here it is. Martin Luther King Jr. builds ethos in his opening paragraph by calling them fellow clergymen, complimenting these men, and suggesting he is an important man who is often written to. Well, that's all for today, students. Bobby, can you give us a review of what we learned?
Well, rhetoric is effective means of persuasion. The rhetorical triangle shows the relationship between the speaker, audience, and subject of a paragraph. SOAPSTone introduces the speaker, occasion, audience, purpose, subject, and tone of an article. And author's purpose is an author's reason for writing. And then a thesis is a one-sentence proposition that introduces the main idea of a paragraph.
Congratulations, students. You've both completed SOAPSTone 101. Here are your diplomas. Flying colors. My best colors.